I rarely take the time to comment about other people's work. I rarely have the time because I'm too busy producing records. I'm too busy working with synthesizer companies and doing sound design and bringing products to life. It's something that I've done since I was 18 years old. I have worked professionally in the music business, and it just eats up my time because that's what it takes if you're actually doing it for a living. But in this instance, I will make an exception to comment on something I saw today because I've never seen something so ignorant, and I've never seen somebody mistreat their platform and spew such vitriol and such ignorance, and just speak from so much inexperience, yet they have a large follower base. Now, that seems to be the theme of the times that we live in. It seems to be the theme and the topic that, charlatans, right? Smug charlatans get a hard pass and are touted as heroes, right? When the people who actually do something for a living are oftentimes grossly looked over. And the reason why is because the people that are actually doing are too busy doing it. In this circumstance, I'm going to comment on this on the Espen Craft video talking about, dishonest synthesizers or synthesizers where people are getting taken for a ride because they're overpriced. Now, I've worked at Sequential and Oberheim for 11 years this year. If you've played any of their synths since the Prophet 12, if you've seen the patch, it's a Prophet or it's an Oberheim. I made those sounds. Okay, I'm a freelance sound designer outside of Sequential and Oberheim. I've also worked with Roland, ASM. I've worked with Electron, Akai, every company, Moog. I've done it. It's what I do for a living. And what struck me so particularly perverse about this particular video was just the sheer lack of knowledge or any kind of relevant information, and also an opinion that's not founded by real-world working experience, okay? Oberheim and Sequential, the Prophet 5, 10, and OBX8, those were a culmination of so many different talents and people and countless hours perfecting these instruments to such a place that they would better the originals, that they would be better than the original Prophet 5, than the original OB8, OBXA, OBX, and that they would enable a new generation of musicians, and especially working musicians, to express themselves in a very, very high-end way. These instruments were a product of countless hours, of countless talent, of some of the most cutting-edge engineering. They, in and of themselves, imbued a quality of excellence unlike very, very few things on the market today. There are very few instruments that have this level of engineering and this sonics, right? These sonics that are so distinct and eloquent and developed. That costs money. Having talent like that working on these products costs money. Nobody is being taken for a ride. It's not like this was something that was cheap to make. It's not like something that was quick to make. It's not like it was a, paint by numbers endeavor. And on a personal level, the people that made these things, the personality of these people, the intention of making these instruments, the reason why they came to life is just as important as the instruments themselves, because I think they're reflective of the personalities involved, especially reflective of the personalities of Dave Smith, of Tom Oberheim, and the whole company. A company that was minded about enabling musicians, okay? Now, for somebody who has no resume, right, of being a sound designer, who has no resume of hit records, who has no resume of Billboard charting records, to then, who also lives in a socialized country, far away from the rigor of the United States, far away from where these things are made, to then comment and talk about these instruments being a fraud without ever knowing anything about how these instruments are made or without ever knowing anybody who made them is just absurd to me. The only suckers are the people who take the advice of Espen Kraft from that video. Those are the only suckers. If you're an inspiring musician, if you're an inspiring sound designer, my best advice, go to people who've actually done that for a living. Find your heroes, find your mentors through people that actually do that day in, day out, every day to earn a living. Don't listen to weekend warriors and hobbyists on YouTube. The culture of that really has to stop. It's got to stop because there's so much misinformation being sent out there, and it's packaged conveniently around the issue of price. Somebody had to do the excellent thing for a clone of it to exist. And it says a lot about you if you are going to champion culturally the clone over the original piece. We should be imbuing music with a spirit of creativity and a spirit of excellence. As somebody that makes records every day for a living, I can tell you the only way to cut across the wall of noise, of mediocrity, is with excellence, uniqueness, independence, and those qualities you also have to have as a person. Integrity is paramount, and these instruments, like the Oberheim OBX8, like the Prophet 5 and the Prophet 10, coming from somebody who was involved with the process of making these things and working on them, and also somebody who uses them every day to make records with, integrity was the number one factor.